The date is August 29th, 1992. The air is electric, charged with anticipation as over 80,000 fans pack London's iconic Wembley Stadium. The roar of the crowd is deafening, a cacophony of excitement that reverberates through the massive arena. This isn't a football match or a rock concert, it's SummerSlam, as the World Wrestling Federation has brought its unique brand of sports entertainment across the Atlantic. As Rule Britannia blares through the speakers, a muscular figure emerges from the entranceway. Clad in blue and white tights adorned with the Union Jack, he strides purposefully toward the ring. The crowd's reaction is unlike anything ever heard before at a WWF event. They're on their feet, united in their adoration for their beloved hero. As the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith, makes his entrance, he is joined by none other than Lennox Lewis, the reigning heavyweight boxing champion. This strategic pairing underscores the event's significance, blending the worlds of professional wrestling and boxing to create a truly momentous atmosphere. This is much more than just a wrestling match. It's a cultural event, a moment of national pride for the British fans who have long supported the WWF from afar. Soon the familiar opening strains of Bret Hart's entrance music cut through the noise. The hitman, resplendent in his pink and black attire, emerges to a mixed reaction. While respected for his technical prowess, Hart is clearly the antagonist in this story. He holds the Intercontinental Championship, a gleaming gold reminder of what's at stake in this contest. For weeks, WWF programming has focused on the family drama between Smith and Hart. Diana Hart Smith, Davey's wife and Bret's sister, has been torn between her loyalties. The British press has latched onto the story, elevating this contest to front-page news. The pressure on Smith is immense. He's not just fighting for a championship, but for the adoration of his home country. The bell rings, and what follows is a masterclass in storytelling through action. The crowd hangs on every move, gasping as Hart applies his patented sharpshooter submission hold. They erupt in cheers as Smith powers out, showcasing the raw strength that has made him a fan favorite. The match ebbs and flows, with near falls that have the Wembley crowd on the edge of their seats. As the contest approaches the 25-minute mark, both men are visibly exhausted. Sweat glistens on their bodies under the bright stadium lights. And then, in a moment that will be replayed for years to come, Smith catches Hart as he attempts a sunset flip and instantly pins him in the compromised position. The referee's hand slaps the mat 3 times, and the crowd explodes in a euphoric roar, commemorating the new Intercontinental Champion. For Smith, this moment represents the pinnacle of his career. He's no longer just a tag team specialist or a mid-card attraction. Tonight, he's the main event, carrying the hopes and dreams of an entire nation on his broad shoulders. As he celebrates in the ring, surrounded by a sea of ecstatic fans, there's a sense that we're witnessing history in the making. Little did anyone know that this night would not only be the crowning achievement of Smith's career, but also the beginning of a tumultuous descent that would end in tragedy less than a decade later. But to understand the magnitude of this moment, we need to go back to the working-class streets of Golborne, Lancashire, where a young David Smith first dreamed of grappling greatness. Born on November 27, 1962, Davey Boy Smith grew up in a world where professional wrestling was more than just entertainment. It was a way of life. The north of England had a rich tradition of wrestling, and young Davey was immersed in this culture from an early age. His cousin was none other than the Dynamite Kid, Tom Billington, who would play a crucial role in Smith's wrestling journey. Smith's natural athleticism was evident from a young age. He excelled in various sports, but wrestling called to him like nothing else. By the time he was 15, Smith was already competing in local matches, honing his craft in the rough-and-tumble world of British wrestling. In 1978, Smith made his television debut on ITV's World of Sport. The exposure catapulted him to national attention, but Smith had his sights set on even bigger things. America and the international spotlight beckoned, promising larger crowds, bigger paydays, and worldwide fame. The opportunity came in 1982, when Smith, along with his cousin Dynamite Kid, was invited to join Stu Hart's Stampede Wrestling promotion in Calgary, Canada. This move would prove pivotal, not just for Smith's career, but for his personal life as well. It was here that he met Diana Hart, Stu's daughter, whom he would later marry. Stampede Wrestling served as a proving ground for Smith, and he quickly became one of the promotion's top stars. It was during this time that Smith began to develop the physique that would become his trademark. Hours spent in the gym, coupled with his natural genetic gifts, transformed the lanky teenager into a powerhouse. It wasn't long before the World Wrestling Federation came calling, and after their acquisition of Stampede Wrestling in 1984, Smith and Dynamite Kid debuted as the British Bulldogs. The tag team division was entering a golden age, and the Bulldogs were at the forefront. Their matches against the Hart Foundation, the Dream Team, and the fabulous Rougeau brothers set new standards for tag team wrestling. And then, on April 7th, 1986, at WrestleMania 2, the British Bulldogs reached the apex of tag team glory. In a hard-fought battle against the Dream Team's Greg Valentine and Brutus Beefcake, Smith and Dynamite Kid captured the tag team championship. This victory established them as one of the premier teams in professional wrestling, admired for their combination of power, speed, and technical proficiency. 2 years later, in 1988, came the Bulldogs' departure from the WWF, which was precipitated by a series of escalating backstage conflicts, most notably a violent altercation between Dynamite Kid and Jacques Rougeau. This incident, coupled with ongoing disputes over pranks and bullying allegations, created a toxic atmosphere that culminated in Billington quitting the company over a disagreement about complimentary plane tickets. Smith, demonstrating loyalty to his tag team partner and cousin, followed Billington's lead and left the federation. Post-WWF, the Bulldogs returned to Stampede Wrestling, and All Japan Pro Wrestling failed to rejuvenate their careers or the struggling Stampede promotion, leading to the team's dissolution in May 1989. Smith's trajectory then took a dramatic turn on July 4, 1989, when a near-fatal car accident left him with 135 stitches, yet he persevered, continuing to compete in All Japan until personal conflicts with Billington catalyzed his solo return to the WWF the next year in 1990. It was at this point that the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith, emerged as a singles competitor. The WWF, recognizing Smith's popularity, particularly in his home country, began to position him as a potential top-tier star. His first major singles feud came against the Warlord. This run culminated in a victory over the Warlord at WrestleMania 7 on March 24, 1991, firmly establishing Smith as a singles competitor to watch. While the British Bulldog garnered a respectable following in the United States, it was in the United Kingdom where his star power truly ascended to meteoric heights. This phenomenon was spawned by a perfect storm of factors, including the WWF's strategic partnership with Sky Sports, which brought wrestling into British living rooms with unprecedented regularity, as well as the Federation's savvy decision to host marquee events like UK Rampage, allowing Smith to perform as a conquering hero on his home soil. Throughout the spring and summer of 1992, the WWF began heavily promoting their upcoming SummerSlam event, to be held at Wembley Stadium in London. It was a bold move, bringing their premier summer event to the UK, and they needed a main event that would captivate the British audience. The solution was obvious: pit the British Bulldog against one of the company's top technical wrestlers, Intercontinental Champion Bret Hart. The build-up to the match was intense. Smith and Hart, brothers-in-law in real life, played up the family drama angle. Diana Hart-Smith, Davey's wife and Bret's sister, was torn between the two. The British press took hold of the story, and suddenly this wrestling match had become a national event. Which brings us back to that unforgettable night in Wembley Stadium. It was a moment of pure elation, the British Bulldog emerging victorious on the biggest stage imaginable. For Smith, it should have been the beginning of a run at the very top of the wrestling world. Unfortunately, the wrestling business can be as cruel as it is spectacular. Smith's reign as Intercontinental Champion was short-lived. He lost the title to Shawn Michaels just over 2 months later, and he was released by the WWF soon thereafter. According to Bret Hart's memoir, Vince McMahon, already under scrutiny for alleged steroid distribution, made the decision to terminate Smith's contract upon learning of purported illicit human growth hormone shipments from a British pharmacist to both Smith and the Ultimate Warrior, a move that simultaneously distanced the company from the scandal, while paradoxically underscoring the pervasiveness of the issue within the industry. After a 2-year sojourn through the wrestling hinterlands of smaller promotions, Smith made a dramatic return to the WWF Pantheon at SummerSlam on August 29, 1994, immediately entangling himself in the labyrinthine Hart family feud, a storyline that pitted brother against brother in the form of Bret and Owen Hart. adding a layer of familial complexity to Smith's homecoming, given his status as brother-in-law to both men. Smith's time in the WWF, from late 1994 through early 1995, was characterized by a series of high-profile matches and shifting alliances that showcased his versatility as both a fan favorite and heel. His role in the Hart family saga, punctuated by a dramatic Survivor Series match where he unwittingly played a pivotal role in Bret Hart's loss of the WWF Championship, was followed by a near victory in the 1995 Royal Rumble and a brief but notable partnership with Lex Luger as the Allied Powers. Smith then executed a shocking heel turn during a match with WWF champion Diesel, aligning himself with Jim Cornette's stable and thus redefining his character and role within the company's intricate narrative tapestry. By late 1995, Smith had earned himself championship opportunities against Diesel and Bret Hart, as well as participating in major events like Survivor Series and the Royal Rumble. His momentum continued into early 1996, culminating in a victory at WrestleMania 12, where he teamed with Vader and Owen Hart to defeat Yokozuna, Ahmed Johnson, and Jake Roberts. But just as Smith found his place in a new form of the Hart Foundation and appeared to be regaining his footing in the Federation, tribulation struck the Hart family. The Montreal Screwjob at Survivor Series on November 9, 1997, saw Bret Hart controversially lose the WWF Championship to Shawn Michaels. The fallout from this event led to Bret leaving for WCW and the Hart Foundation disintegrating. Smith, feeling loyalty to his brother-in-law, soon followed Bret to WCW. Smith's second run in WCW was even less successful than his first. He was sidelined with a serious knee injury and then suffered a devastating spinal injury after falling onto a trapdoor during his ring entrance at Fall Brawl on September 14, 1998. This injury would have long-lasting effects on Smith's health and career. By 1999, Smith was back in the WWF, now rebranded as the more edgy WWF Attitude. He was thrust into a feud with the Big Boss Man and appeared to be in the best shape of his life, his muscular physique more defined than ever. However, this new look came at a cost. Behind the scenes, Smith was struggling with addiction. The pain from his various injuries had led to a reliance on painkillers. Moreover, the pressure to maintain his impressive physique pushed Smith towards increased use of steroids and human growth hormone. His final run with the WWF was short-lived. Despite being positioned for a feud with The Rock, Smith was released from his contract in 2000. Smith's life then took a dark turn. His marriage to Diana Hart ended in divorce, and his struggles with substance abuse intensified. He made sporadic appearances on the independent circuit, but it was clear that the once mighty British Bulldog was a shadow of his former self. On May 18, 2002, while on vacation in Invermere, British Columbia, Davey Boy Smith suffered a heart attack and passed away. He was just 39 years old. The autopsy revealed that years of steroid use had enlarged his heart, contributing to his untimely death. In the end, the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith's legacy is a complex one. It's a tale of triumph and tragedy, of incredible highs and devastating lows. But above all, it's the story of a man who, for one magical night in London, united a nation and etched his name into the annals of wrestling history, including a 2020 induction into the WWE Hall of Fame. As we remember Davey Boy Smith, let us celebrate his achievements while also learning from the circumstances that led to his untimely passing. In doing so, we honor not just the wrestler, but the man behind the larger-than-life persona. May he rest in peace.